Thank you, folks, for coming to the Venice Neighborhood Council's Neighborhood Team Program. This is session number 2 out of 6 sessions. Tonight will be disaster first aid, and your speaker will be Yukiko Bryant. Before we get started, and Keith, you can dictate kind of the terms. Do you want to start now talking to the group, or do you want to wait for a couple minutes for more people to come in? Your choice.
That's okay. I think we said 7 o'clock, so we're going to honor the time. So I'll be happy to start right now, and then as people come in, they'll come in.
Absolutely.
Good evening, and I am Keith Harrison. I'm the chair of the Venice Community Resiliency Committee. We are a committee of the Venice Neighborhood Council, and we're working in partnership with LA Fire Department CERT in putting on the neighborhood team program. We're glad you're all here for the second module. This is all part of our ongoing process and program to make Venice a resilient community. And what does that mean? Well, it's more than just preparing yourself and your family. Preparedness is an essential part of it, but it's also building community so that we can, in fact, bounce back from any kind of disaster that hits us. It's working first with ourselves and our family, then with our neighbors, and then with the community as a whole. And that's our goal. We want to go more than hand out leaflets or even put on training programs that are really nice like this, but to develop in partnerships with our partners in the city and community exercises and education and linking together so that when we're hit with anything from a power outage to the big one, there will be a Venice left over. There will be still a community, unlike what has happened to some other communities where, quite frankly, there's the street signs, there's the sign, but the population is elsewhere because they could not sustain themselves. And quite frankly, some of the federal plans are to move people out of an area to another area where they're safe, and going back is very difficult. So we want to make Venice survivable and resilient, just like a basketball. You throw it down on the ground and it bounces back up. And that's what we want to do with Venice. Thank you all for participating, and I'll turn it over to our host.
And thank you, Keith. And one thing I want to kind of build off of what Keith said, one of the things we really want to do is show you ways to be able to stay in your community, not to have to leave in the first place. That's why we're having these sessions. So everything we've shown you, even in the first session, which was basic disaster preparedness, this session, we're really gunning to try to keep you guys in your homes and your neighborhoods, not necessarily in your homes, but in and around your neighborhoods, because for the most part, you don't necessarily want to go to those shelters and whatnot. You want to leave those for the people who need it most dire. If you can, we want to keep you in your neighborhoods, and that's what we want to do. And that is part of the neighborhood cohesiveness. So very quickly as we move on, I just want to let you know that, as I mentioned earlier, your battalion coordinator, Jose Morataya, is joining us tonight. And he is there working to put together the team on the ground. And if you need anything, definitely look him up, and I'll put his information in the chat later. Another gentleman here, Carl Ginsberg, wherever he is. There he is, way over there. He keeps moving on me. He is your bureau coordinator for West Bureau's Community Emergency Response Team and Neighborhood Team Program. So you can feel free to interact with those fellows at any time. Interact with me. I'm the mysterious guy from South Bureau, and I love doing that. And I'm going to now throw it to the night speaker, Yukiko Bryant, who I have worked with for many years. She is a great community emergency response team member, and she is going to dazzle you tonight for the rest of the evening with her skills. Yukiko, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Needs to be louder.
You're a little muffled down there.
You're muffled.
Oh, sorry. Let me raise my chair to get closer to the mic. Now, can you hear me?
Better.
Better.
Okay. Hi, my name is Yukiko Bryant, and I am a CERT team member. And thank you, Chin, for inviting me to do this. I hope I don't bore you too much. I know all this virtual stuff is kind of a pain, and it's difficult to pay attention. I teach at Cal State Northridge University, and we've been virtual, and I actually have my student assistants on when I'm teaching my class just to nod. Because when they nod, the students nod, and then they think they have this great experience and we're all happy. Otherwise, they kind of sit there and don't blink or doze off. So I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing and, well, a lot of screen sharing because you don't need to look at me. But so I'm not really fast at this, and I don't have my assistant who's usually on the other end showing my slides, but we'll go with it from here. So
Let me do a little bit of magic here, and
okay.
I'll get you to a place where you can actually share. Da, da, da.
Okay.
And you now have the magic.
Ooh, good. Okay. Your screen should be green now.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So everyone, maybe if you have a problem with Yukiko, you could just call me Yuki or you. I will respond. And this is the Venice Neighborhood Team Program Session 2. Thank you all for coming here, especially on St. Patrick's Day. I'm sorry I don't have on my CERT uniform shirt, but I use green screen so you don't have to look at my coffee bar behind me. And my shirt is green, so that would be strange. Okay. So first, many people are confused about disasters and emergencies, but how many of you have been to the emergency room? Can you raise your hand if you've been there? So, emergency is a sudden, urgent, unexpected event that requires immediate action, but it's often something we can go to the emergency room for. And I would like to get some feedback here. Can I get 3 examples of an emergency? What you think an emergency is?
Medical emergency,
Medical emergency like,
heart attack.
yeah, that's true. Anybody else?
Difficulty breathing.
Okay.
Broken bone.
Hemorrhaging.
Hemorrhaging. Yeah. Or
Gunshot wound.
definitely a busted pipe in your kitchen or bathroom flooding your house. That's an emergency. A fire is an emergency, right? Your house fire.
Yes.
If you cook like I do. But
And
now
and Yuki from the chat, gunshot wound.
gunshot wound. Yeah, we have to get back to that one. Someone else recently.
While we're on that one, stabbing,
Stabbing. Okay. Well,
broken bone,
what's a disaster?
It's something that overwhelms local resources.
For example,
earthquake,
earthquake,
A massive tsunami.
massive tsunami,
Tornado.
tornado.
The
avalanche,
recent
right?
2017 Woolsey fire.
Yes.
wildfire.
We're clear on what these are. Now go to the next slide. So disasters are catastrophic. The thing about disasters, though, and why we are all here is because emergency services will be impacted. For all we know, they could be blown away, catch on fire, fall into the center of the earth. We don't know. They will be engaged. If they're up and running, they will be engaged, and they don't know my address. Emergency services and resources are already limited. People think that we're going to be saved when we dial 911, but they don't realize that we don't have our own angel, emergency services person to come and rescue us. And communications will likely be cut off. Even if we're talking blizzard or, deep freeze, which we don't have to worry about so far, but with climate change, who knows? So, conclusion, emergency services will not be able to assist you because they will be impacted, engaged, resources are limited, and communications may be cut off. So what does this mean? Simple. A disaster won't wait for us to get prepared. Everyone, I keep having people, I do these trainings on how to make a go bag, and they'll say, a month later, they're saying, well, when I get to the store or when I have time. I assume some of you were in Southern California when the Northridge quake hit. I moved here right afterwards, so I missed it. But I am from northern Japan, where we had a tsunami near my hometown. So I want to show you a video now. I hope it doesn't start playing. I have this thing where they always start playing when I'm not ready. Okay. So let me get my screen ready. Uh-oh, I lost my video. Okay. Hold on just a moment. I'm sorry. Can you see the black screen?
Yes.
Okay. Why isn't it getting bigger? I'm sorry. I will work with a format that I'm more comfortable with, which is Chrome.
And while you're working with that, Keith has raised his hand.
Yes, Keith. I can't see Keith. Hello?
Keith, I saw your hand go up. Was that an accident? Oh, Keith.
He can't hear.
Okay.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
he's muted.
He's muted also.
Keith, we can't hear you. Could you, on the bottom left, could you unmute yourself?
I don't think Keith can hear us at all. Let's see. I'm gonna hit him back in the chat.
He looks like he's working on something with the camera, so.
Okay, I'm going to show you a short video because we're not worried about deep freezes and we're not really worried about hurricanes. We do have one thing that we're all familiar with. Wrong video. Oh, how embarrassing. Okay. I only have 100 of these. Okay. I'm sorry.
You're missing one of your videos, huh?
I know. That's okay. I have the link right here. And if anybody wants any of these links ever, I'm happy to share them.
Thursday, November 13th, 2008. It's a sunny morning in Southern California. Across the region, 7.5 million people are busy at work.
How's the audio? I think it's a little bit on the low end on this, from what I'm hearing.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The audio is barely audible.
Oh,
So see if you can crank it up a little higher.
Yeah.
okay. I have it as far up as it will. Let me try again.
Try turning up the audio on the computer rather than just this panel.
Yeah, I have it as far as it'll go on my computer now. Let's see.
Busy at work. Several hundred thousand
Better?
of them are commuting to
Okay.
A little better.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
They live. Over 200,000 commuters work and reside on opposite sides of the San Andreas Fault. Today, these families and many others across the region will be separated. 1,800 people will die. 53,000 people will be injured. And $213 billion in damage will occur. It's 10 a.m. The largest earthquake to hit Southern California in modern times has just begun. Some people react appropriately, others don't. In the intense shaking, nearly 1,500 buildings collapsed. Infrastructure is severely compromised, and 300,000 buildings suffer significant damage. The rupture travels 200 miles northwest along the San Andreas Fault. Violent shaking lasting as long as 2 minutes in some areas. Finally, the earthquake is over. Many of the lifelines of Southern California have been disrupted. A large number of people are trapped in collapsed buildings. Over 1,600 fires started, some turning into super conflagrations. Millions of people are trying to use their phones, causing the system to become overloaded. In the months ahead, there will be tens of thousands of aftershocks. Residents will struggle to recover from the earthquake. There will be no water for weeks or months, and no electricity. Traveling from point to point within the city will be extremely difficult, and 255,000 people will be displaced from their homes. We are all in this together. We will suffer the consequences if we don't do our part right now. How quickly life gets back to normal after this disaster is up to you and those around you. Your level of personal preparedness will determine your quality of life after the quake. It's a good idea to have a fire extinguisher, a first aid kit, and enough water for each person in your household to have at least 1 gallon of water a day for 3 days. Have an emergency plan. Decide now where you will meet your family after an earthquake. Make sure there's a person out of town you can contact to let your loved ones know that you're okay. Homeowners should be sure to bolt their house to its foundation. Consider whether earthquake insurance makes sense for you as part of your financial plan. Even if you're not a homeowner, you can secure your personal possessions against earthquake damage. Preparedness is not only for the home, but also for business. Be sure that your company has emergency plans for a major earthquake. Empower yourself and your family. Be prepared.
That's it. I like this little video. Okay, so we're back to the slides. I'm thinking everyone can see them. So basically, it's on you. And in case you don't know now, you'll find out very shortly. I'm goofy. So Yuki's motto, I have these mottos that drive my students crazy. If not me, then who? Me, right? So you can't wait for someone else to save us. You know, and if you don't know what to do, we're here to help you with that. So let's get going since time is of the essence. So personal preparedness. Another one of my goofy mottos. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I have a question. What would prohibit you from helping out in a disaster? I assume since you're here, that you're here because you want to be of service. So what would prohibit that from happening?
You're injured.
You're injured. Perfect. So that's it for most of us. If we can help out, we will. But, you know, if we're injured, that's not gonna work, or if we're not prepared. So
But your family comes first, right?
yes, yourself and your family. Can't leave your bleeding children to go check on the neighbor, right?
Right.
So your ability to provide assistance will depend on your level of personal preparedness. And that's the bottom line. So training, equipment, do you have it? Where is that equipment located? Because if it's, in the back of the closet, behind a lot of other stuff, and maintenance, are you maintaining your equipment? Do you have old batteries? Are you storing batteries inside the flashlight? Please tell me no.
Yeah.
No, they need to be in double Ziploc bags with the flashlight outside.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
I said you ever done that? You go check your flashlight and it's all gross inside and the flashlight doesn't work now because it's messed up. I just did that with a headlamp and I know better. So what do I need? And we're going very basic. If you want big list, and I have lists for travel, planes, hotels, whatever, kids' school bag, let me know and I'll give you that. But we're going basics, okay? Flashlight and batteries. No candles, not ever. No way. If you want one of those battery powered tea lights, but I guarantee you it won't be enough light. Okay, but no flame. So flashlights and batteries. More batteries, more batteries, more batteries. You can never have enough batteries. I know we hate to throw away batteries after we've had them for a year, but it's better than losing your life stepping on glass. So I say monster first aid kit on steroids, not the little one you get at Target. You can start with that, but please add more 4x gauze, add rolled, I forgot my English now, Chin, gauze to wrap.
Oh, no.
What do we call it again? I'm sorry. Bandages, rolls of bandages. I have a little credit card that comes with my health insurance where I can also put money in an account. And every year I wind up with this money I didn't use for medical stuff, so I buy bandages. You don't really need tape if you have rolls of bandages because you can tie them and they come in handy for many other things, splinting, making, being able to tie up your arm and make a sling. So lots and lots of that. Work gloves, preferably in a light color. I learned that the first time I had to do a head to toe assessment and I had black gloves. I can't see blood on black gloves. Non-latex or protective gloves, the one we've all been coveting since last March. Lots of those disposable non-latex and protective gloves. I keep them in my car, in my handbag, in my backpack, everywhere. Goggles, and I say N95 masks because I keep them together. I think of them as a partnership. Goggles and N95 masks. Fully charged external power source so that you may be able to charge your.
That's what we didn't have.
Pardon? I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
I have about 5. I even have 2 solar ones, but every time I've tried to make them solar, there was a problem like no sun. So, but I have about 5 of them. I charge them every week. And I always have 2 on me, 1 in the bedroom, 1 in the dining room, 1 in the kitchen. Because when the light bulb goes out in the middle while you're cooking, that's really rude. So you do need an external power source and lots of cables. Buy cables. Go on Amazon and get cables for your phone and everybody else's phone and make sure you have them strategically placed everywhere, including the car. Safe drinking water. I don't like to buy water, so I have a Berkey filter, but to each his own. pen and a notebook. I like Sharpies, permanent markers, triage tape. In a pinch, you could use duct tape and a marker. But triage tape is great. And I like this guy. It's my NOAA radio. I can charge it, I can put batteries in it, and I can put it in the sun. And it's also a flashlight. So I can get information from the National Weather Service. Because if I can't use my phone, and I'm very dependent on my phone, I won't be up the creek. So these things you need, and I'll be happy to send you a list, or I could forward all of that to Shannon who can do it.
And Yukiko,
Yes,
Regan has raised her hand.
yes.
Hi, excuse this ignorant question, but when you talk about the gloves, work gloves and non-latex, so the work gloves could be that kind of thing like you use for gardening, like, it's more, it covers you more, but like, could you just, the
Yeah,
non-latex
work gloves I prefer leather work gloves
leather?
because they're not, they don't absorb liquids, fluids. I'm kind of,
Another benefit of the leather is that if you're picking up glass, it will not cut through the glass.
Ah,
The glove.
okay. Okay, so the leather, the work gloves, when we say work gloves, we're talking about when you're having to deal with things that, could be nails, could be splinters,
Exactly.
really protective gear. And then when you said a non-latex, were you saying we should also have some of those kind of like,
those rubber gloves.
you
That's
mean
right.
like the kind of things that you're using when you're shopping at Trader Joe's and don't want to get bacteria on your hand, that kind?
Yes, and you could put those under your work gloves.
Those are called exam gloves, and the
Exam
ones you
gloves.
want are nitrile rather than the vinyl, because a lot of people are allergic to that.
Okay, thank you.
Most gloves out there now are nitrile.
Or
And
gorilla.
is that
or gorilla
specifically to
gloves.
try to keep back certain bacteria and stuff from?
Yeah, protect you from bacteria, fluids, nasty stuff. Thank you for that question, and thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
And also gorilla gloves, you can use hand sanitizer on them and they fit onto your skin very well.
Oh, okay, I've never heard of them.
What those are.
Yeah, you can get them at Home Depot or Amazon.
Reagan, you can also get the leather gloves. Think of the gloves you see the building contractors wearing. They are usually light in color, like a light tan. And those you can buy them at Home Depot. I would grab out mine, but they're in my car, unfortunately.
Okay,
But
thanks.
yeah, they're in there. If you just ask somebody where they are, they'll
Any
tell you. I forgot what aisle.
Anywhere, any hardware store, SOS, Amazon, you can get them. Okay, so I say, as always, I want to be dressed for the occasion. So, if possible, dress for the occasion. So, enclosed shoes and socks. I say socks. I've never been told to wear socks, but your shoes are much more comfortable with socks on. So enclosed shoes, preferably something that also isn't going to be soaking up fluids. If you have work boots, great. If you have leather sneakers, grab them. I think I don't wear shoes at home. So I keep shoes right by my bed because if there's an earthquake or something, glass is going to be broken. I can jump into my shoes. I even have a pair of old work boots, hiking boots in my car in case something happens and I'm in the car in sandals. A helmet is great. Not everybody wants to buy a helmet, but a helmet is great. If your kid moved out and they left their old bike helmet, you just cover your head. Long sleeves, long pants, preferably with pockets. You'll find you need them. I fought against cargo pants, but now I love them. So you have your gloves, your goggles, and your face mask.
Yuki, here's the gloves that everybody
Yes.
wants, right here. These are leather gloves. These are the same, these are from the fire department. So if a firefighter wears them, you know that they're gonna be effective. And
Yeah,
they do get stiff if you get them wet, so you gotta kind of mush them back up and they will soften up, but they'll get stiff after a while.
yeah, the more you use them, the better.
Yeah.
And get used to it, maybe. You may actually want to sometime when you're doing some gardening or something to go ahead and put on your gloves, goggles, and a face mask just to get used to wearing it. And keep these where you can reach them. Again, don't, have them hanging up in the closet where you have to go take everything down and look for it. It should all be together so you can grab it. I also have this mirrored in my car, in my bedroom, and in my living room under my sofa, since I don't know where I'll be. So this is you. This is not you. Okay. So, and if you have clothes in a go bag, please try them on about 3 times a year because we change sizes. As I found out about the go bag that was under my desk at work. And the hiking pants were about 2 sizes smaller than I am currently. So, okay, stuff has happened. Now what do? First of all, make sure you're okay. Make sure you're safe. It's not gonna help anyone if you run out of your house and the brick facade falls down on you. And in LA, we have lots of facades outside these buildings. It's almost like Universal Studios, the little park tour where you go through where they have the sets. So first thing you want to do is scene safety. So make sure it's safe before you enter or exit. So you want to take a visual assessment and see if there's anything that could harm you. Is there water? And you may think, why, what does water have to do with anything? I used to live in North Hollywood, and about 8 years ago or so, a car hit a telephone pole or an electrical pole, and there were 2 women in the car. Well, the 2 emergency workers who responded and ran to help them ran through the water, which was charged, had an electrical charge, and they both passed away. So look carefully, look for down power lines, look for water, gas, fire. People, when I say people, the purple person could have caused the disturbance. Is there someone armed? Is there someone with a weapon? Is there someone acting irrationally in a dangerous way? Is there some rabid animal waiting to attack you? Check all of that out. Something that could fall on you. Take a whiff. Do you smell gas? Do you smell other chemicals? Can you turn off the gas? There's a tool that you can get at Home Depot. You could probably even get it at Target that you can use to turn off your gas, but you need to know where the gas is. And also don't turn the gas back on. This one you'll have to wait for the gas company. Listen, what do you hear? Do you hear the sound of maybe gas escaping or something about to fall? And enlist helpers. I have a philosophy of putting everyone to work. When my kids' friends used to visit, and I was dusting, I gave them the dusting. With students, anyone comes in my room to visit or whatever, I make them go to work too. So put anyone who's able-bodied, put them to work. It's also good for morale because it's better for them to have something to do than freaking out and getting in the way. If you can find someone who's reliable enough to make your scribe to take notes and follow you around, that's beautiful. So safety. Now, I'll need some input from Chin and Carl, any of our CERT people. If it's a hazmat or terrorist situation, evacuate as safely as possible. you're not going to be able to do much about corrosive chemicals and dangerous chemicals, explosions, and an active shooter. It's not your job to tackle the active shooter. Any questions?
I have two hands up. I have Gerald Baker.
Yes, can you hear me okay, Yukiko? This is regarding the gas situation with the gas meters. I was here during the Northwood earthquake. I didn't have to turn my gas off, so I didn't have to deal with that. Anyway, the first CERT class I took, which is a while ago, they say, you know, you have to shut your gas off. That's a possibility. So I went to my gas meter. Turns out it was completely frozen, I found out. No one can shut it off, including the gas company. So it sunk into the cement because I haven't checked it in so long, and my house is on the hills and it moves. So I called the gas company. They came out right away and no charge. They put in a lever. So instead of using a shut-off tool, I just have a lever. All you got to do is push it down, gas is off. The problem obviously is you don't want to turn your gas off if you don't need to, because you'll never get it back on again. But this lever, they come out, they do it, no problem, no charge, nothing. So it was really good.
That's a fantastic idea.
Excellent. Anybody, if you have the ability to have that taken care of, please do it as soon as possible.
How about those check valves? The check valve with the ball that falls off?
That's the earthquake valve on a gas meter.
Yeah.
You can have those you can have to have put in that you have to buy the meter. It has to be installed by a licensed plumber. And it will, Chin, what's the magnitude at which it will trip?
5.2.
5.8.
It's generally 5.2, but it could be up to 5.8, but 5.2 is what I've always known.
Okay.
All right, but remember that if it shuts off, then the gas company has to come back out and and reset it. Same thing with if you do turn off your gas, you are not allowed to turn it back on. The gas company is supposed to do that for you as well. Now, what you can do if you think that you might have the same problem that Jerry's having or had with his gas meter shut off, you can get the proper wrench, turn the valve 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. It won't shut it off, just to see if you can turn it, and then if it turns, put it back in the same position, and you'll know that you'll be able to turn it off should you have to. If it won't turn that 1/4 of an inch, call the gas company. They'll come out and lubricate it or replace the valve for you, no charge. So that's a little prep you can do real easily to make sure it's going to work should you need to turn it off.
Yeah.
And for God's sake, whatever you do, never bang it with a hammer to try to get the thing to move. You
No,
can cause sparks.
if it's leaking and it sparks, you'll end up 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
When you break it, you'll have a major leak.
And you won't be able to help anyone. Your neighbors will be upset with you.
And
And the wrench that you turn the valve with should not be made of steel or iron, no ferrous material, because that if you think if you had a leak and you smelled gas and I got to go turn off the meter, if it's leaking at the meter and you cause a spark, you're going to end up 2 blocks away. So, but if you use a non-ferrous, non-steel, non-iron, it could be aluminum, it could be a hard plastic, or magnesium. There's all different kinds of wrenches specifically for that. Use those; they will never spark.
And I'm going to kind of jump in because I'm going to keep us moving ahead. If you do have questions, try to hold them for the
Breakouts.
Q&A section, so we can kind of get through this, because it is great information we're getting, and we know there'll be a lot of questions. We will break up into breakout rooms, and then we can answer those questions. So write them down and save them for the question portion. I will take this one last question before we go into that, and then we'll go to that format. Regan, you had a quick question.
Oh, sorry. I think my hand was still up or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Then I will lower your hand, and Yuki, continue on.
Okay, so you're making a visual assessment, you're gathering facts, you're assessing damage. You're not really walking all over the place unless you safely can. Considering the possibilities, is this a possible fire hazard? Is something going to fall? Are there wires over there I need to be worried about? So you assess your situation and you establish your priorities. You're going to make decisions. You're going to develop an action plan all in 30 seconds. And you're going to take action and you will constantly evaluate your progress. So, first of all, before you touch anybody, before someone comes up and if you're on a date and before someone touches you, you kind of know their name and know who they are, and you probably given them some indication that it's okay. It's the same thing here. Introduce yourself, not a long introduction. Hi, I'm Yukiko Bryant, blah, 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 blah. I'm a Pisces. No, not all that. But hey, I'm Yukiko. I have first aid training. I just don't get into the whole CERT background, any of that, because they're bleeding out, right? I have first aid training. Can I help you? That's it. And they will say yes or no. And if they can't, there's something called implied consent. Maybe they can't talk, but maybe they give you that look, or they nod a little, or move their fingers. But they've granted you consent to help them. If they can't, they're unconscious, but there's a friend or family member nearby, you could ask them. So try your best to get implied consent. So now we got the triage. So basically it's a process for managing mass casualties. We got a lot of people who need help. You guys remember the Chatsworth train crash about 10 years ago? Some people were fine, some people were dead.
My friend died in that.
Yeah, there was everything in between, every single thing. It was horrible. So in triage, victims are evaluated. They're sorted by urgency of treatment needed. Okay, and it's kind of hard there. You've got to just put on the, I call it like the robo brain. Victims are set, you're going to be looking at who's immediate and who's, if they're moderate, delayed. And if you can assign someone to help document or be a scribe and follow you around, the more the better. Because you do need to document, because conditions change and they change rapidly. So you'll constantly be reassessing. So triage is a French term meaning to sort. That's from my French class days. So when used, we're using this when, the whole idea of triage was when there were more victims than rescuers, like in a war. Limited resources, time is critical, so we need to prioritize treatment. Now, a lower priority does not mean that victims won't get treated, but we're helping the most immediate first. And because you can't do everything for everyone every time. So in the triage evaluation, you're going to check for airway and breathing. You're going to check, their circulation. Are they bleeding? Their mental status. They may be confused. They may not know what their name is. You've got to check that. And it could be because of an injury. So you want to rapidly assess them as quickly as possible. Is it 1 minute per patient in the triage? I believe it's 1 minute.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay.
30 seconds. Yeah.
So we want to rapidly assess them, and we want to set up treatment areas. Okay. Because we don't want them all mixed together, so we don't know who's who. And if there are any people who are deceased, you really need to get them out of the way, far away, because that freaks everybody out. And then you don't want anybody doing CPR on someone who's already passed away. Nor do you want to be doing CPR on someone who's a person who is dead is not immediate. And I say this because every training I've been to, there's always someone who argues me down. And it doesn't mean you're being heartless, but there are 5 people who can die while you're doing CPR to someone who's already dead. So we want to have them, we want to sort them, and they need to be where if emergency services can get to them, they can easily get to them, reach them, consider the size of the vehicles. So in the triage process, we have, again, we have 4, but immediate, delayed, and minor are the ones you'd be concerned with. So you stop, look, listen, think. First thing we want to do is a voice triage. That's the easiest part. If you can hear me, come to the sound of my voice. And the people who can walk up to you, most of them are probably going to be okay. They may be, we call the walking wounded, or they may be delayed, but you know, they're probably at least minor. They're probably minor. They could be delayed. So start where you are, start where you stand, because we want to have a systematic route if we're walking through. So if you're going to go, I always say to the right, just go to the right and come around. Don't zigzag, you miss people and you confuse yourself. Evaluate each victim and tag them. You might not want to tell them what the tag is if they're immediate or, you know, scare them. And if you have to use duct tape because you have something else, then write in large letters, I for immediate, D for delayed, M for minor. And again, they're all going to be in one area. All the delayeds are going to be together. All the minors are going to be together, possibly helping you. And the immediates are going to be together. You're going to document the triage results, and you're going to do it again. You're going to keep doing it because a delayed person can become immediate. So I love graphs and charts. I don't know why, but I like this one because it makes sense. Walking, yes, they're probably delayed. Walking, no, check for breathing. They're not breathing, they're dead. They are breathing. Is the breathing normal? Yeah, it's normal. Okay, urgent, not normal, immediate. So it's all about priorities here. We want to help where the greatest need is. I don't know why there's blue tape there for morgue, but anyway, so remember, immediate is life-threatening conditions and resulting in shock or could result in shock. And by the way, shock is immediate also. Delayed, a fracture, a burn, an injury that's not going to jeopardize someone's life, maybe a dog bite. Walking wounded, they have cuts, abrasions, bruises. Be careful with bruises. Check out the bruise to make sure it's not internal bleeding, but it's just a bruise. And of course, if they are dead, there's no CPR. So actually, I'm going to go to RPM, respiration. And I'm wondering if I could get Carl or Chen to explain the 32 can do. I already warned Chen.
Carl.
30 breaths per minute.
Oh, we can't hear you, Carl. You're on mute.
So sorry. Hi there. If your respiration is greater than 30, it means you're hyperventilating, and you are likely to pass out because you're breathing too fast for the oxygen to be absorbed in your lungs. So you're pumping air in and out way too fast. So you won't get the oxygen you need, and you will become hypoxic. Perfusion, the way we check for perfusion, if you can see my hand here, if you look at your fingernail, the bed of the under your fingernail is normally pink. Okay, it's hard to tell here. All right, it's pink. When you pinch it with your fingernail, it's let me see if I can show you that too. If you pinch it with your fingernail, it'll go white. All right, you want the color of pink to come back within 2 seconds. If it does, that means that your circulation is flowing to your extremities. Because if you're in shock, your system will start drawing blood from your extremities to take care of your core, which is your heart, your lungs, your respiratory system, etc. If it refreshes okay, it means that your circulation is good. Now, if somebody has nail polish on, not gonna work. You ladies that wear nail polish, there's other ways to do it. You can, I'm trying to get the orientation. Do it with the inside of the palm. Same thing will work. All right, see you can actually see it go white when I pinch it. Okay, actually the outside a little better because it's a little pinker. See how it went white and went pink right away? That means that my circulation is good.
You can also use the pad of the finger.
Yeah, the underside of the finger.
Right.
You know, but if somebody's got blood on their hands because they're injured, you know, you got to look for other ways to check.
Earlobes as well if their hands are gone.
Yeah, let's see. We got the Patty is a retired Red Cross instructor, and she's always correcting me and making me learn more. Anything I forget, she reminds me of.
I
What
think
else?
you can use the toenails in that point also to do a
Yeah, yes, you could.
blanch test.
Yeah, but
Only if they're visible.
yeah,
Don't take off shoes.
don't take off shoes because they could have foot damage, and then the shoes might be holding bleeding back or broken bones, etc. Mental status: if somebody is unconscious and you can't wake them, they're immediate always. And if you ask them their name or ask them to hold up 2 fingers or any kind of command, and they give you gibberish or they can't respond, they're immediate. All right, you never take a chance. Always err on the side of of the highest level. All right, don't think well they're sort of conscious because they're coming in and out of consciousness, so maybe there's no rush. Somebody's unconscious for a second, they're immediate. All right, so always err up. Is that all? You want me to go into this too, or back to you, Yuki?
Well, I can do it, but I always enjoy your input. So what, people are, a lot of stuff is going on now. Someone has a broken leg. Unless there's excessive bleeding, the person is probably not going to die from a broken leg. However, these are the killers that we know right off the bat. If you can't breathe, that's a problem. If you're bleeding excessively, that's a problem. If you go into shock, that is a serious problem. People don't really think about shock. Look for signs of shock. Keep the person warm, elevate their feet. I'll get back into that. Or burns. And we're not talking about the burns that I get regularly every time I try to cook, but 2nd and 3rd degree burns. I'm like dangerous in the kitchen.
They make these things called pot holders. You just have to stop burning yourself. It's not good.
My daughter gave me pot holders that came up to the elbow. Because when I reach into the oven, I'm short and
maybe we should get the fire department and get you a turnout, a bunker jacket, and then you'll be good.
And I'll be cute. I gotta remember that.
Oh, they're very heavy, very heavy.
I literally have been using my induction cooktop because I'm dangerous. Okay, so I have another video for you that I want to show you. And because the next part is head to toe assessments. Chin put that on my list and scared me. Okay. I was very intimidated by this, even though I know how to do it.
So I'm gonna start with her head and work my way down her body. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna touch your head right now, see if I find any bumps, bruises, or deformities, any bleeding or anything like.
Now, notice that he's telling her as he's touching her, I'm gonna touch your head.
That. Every now and again, pulling my my hand back to see if I find any bleeding or any fluid on my hands.
He's also looking for soft spots, which could indicate a head trauma and a break in the skull.
And you notice he's wearing the nitrile gloves.
Right.
Okay, looking at the ears, the head, coming down along the face, making sure I have symmetry along the face.
You're looking for blood in the ears.
Okay. Looking at the neck, looking for symmetry, looking at both sides. See if anything's out of the ordinary that I may find or see. Checking the back of the neck, make sure you reach all the way around, because at one spot you miss, it may be something that's very severe. Checking the shoulders, coming down the arm, checking it very quickly, checking for any bleeding, deformities. Every now and again, pulling your hands back, looking at your patient. Okay, walk around the side. Now, this is very important because you do not want to reach over the person, okay, or slip, trip, or fall on top of the person, which will make it worse for the victim. Checking the other side as we did before. Okay, walking around the other side. Okay, continuing on with the chest, coming right down. Checking the ribs also. Moving from the ribs onto the abdomen. We check the sides. And you want to check both sides evenly, and you're just pressing in to see if you have what they call rebound tenderness, or you feel something that is completely solid in the area that should not be. Okay? Okay, so now the abdomen is done. Okay, we're going to move on down to the hips. You want to take the hips and push down, and you want to push in. Feeling for any crepitus when you're moving the bones or anything of that nature, and always visualizing and looking, as well as every now and again looking at the patient's face. Okay? Now, this is when you have to get really personal also. You have to reach in just to make sure you're not missing any spots, putting blood, and feeling around.
Notice he's looking at his hands in case there's any blood underneath the legs that he can't see.
Check the warmth. Okay. I'll walk to the other side again. Get close and personal. Look for any blood, deformities, abrasions, bruises. Okay. Warmth and movement. Crepitus and movement. Okay, so we've done a head to toe survey. The last thing we want to do is check the back. This is generally requires two people in order to assist in terms of moving the patient, because you may assume that the person has a neck and back injury. So you would take the arm that you've already checked, okay, and move it up over the person's head. Okay. And as a unison, we'll roll them towards me to make sure I'm in control of her at all times. Okay, keeping her head and neck back straight, roll towards me. I have her. Okay.
Now remember, unless you are certain this person does not have a head or neck injury, don't do this by yourself, because you need someone to help stabilize the head.
Okay, check the back of the head again, confirming your findings initially, see if anything has changed along the way. No bleeding, bumps, bruises, or crepitus found. Roll back off. No deformities. Lay her back down. Position of comfort. Probably cover her up to give her some decency and keep her warm. And something to consider along the way as you're doing this is to, if she had glasses on or something like that, to give them a sense of security, make sure the glasses go back on the person, just to make sure. And one of the last things you want to note is you have to document any findings that she may have. Do we have any questions?
Let me throw one thing in. You'll notice that he skipped checking one area, which is the breastbone. And when it's a female, you'll use the blade of your hand, and you do need to press down between the breasts and make sure that the breastbone is not compromised or broken. With a male, you would do it the same way, although you don't have the same considerations to worry about. So,
Thank you, Carl. And when you're touching anyone's head or neck or core, I mean, most of us don't care about our arms and legs. We're okay. You really need to tell that person that you're going to touch them. You know, I'm going to check down the center of your chest with my hand. You hold it like this and so they know ahead of time, because you know, you want to actually respect them and keep them comfortable. And it may seem like this is an emergency situation and I'm helping them, but you never know a person's history.
And you need to watch, you'll notice he was watching their face. They might not cry out, but they might grimace, which means that you struck something that's causing pain as well. So the face is the key to some kind of injury also.
Yeah, and you can ask them, does this hurt? Does this
Oh,
hurt?
yeah, that's the first, yeah. You should tell them before you start, let me know if anything hurts. That's the indicator.
Yeah, and give the person as much privacy and decency as possible. You know, like I've had a person who fell and hit their head after having an epileptic seizure, and everyone wanted to come around. And I actually sent everyone out of the room but 2 people to assist me until emergency services were able to come. Because sometimes people lose control of their bowels or their bladders, or they throw up, or we might have to remove a piece of clothing, which is unlikely, but still, you want to respect a person, you know. So,
It doesn't hurt to always have a second person with you, particularly in this day and age, especially if you're a gentleman working on a lady. You know, just because we are lay people.
yeah, I thanks, Patty. I agree. I would say though, it doesn't really matter what sex or gender you are.
You should have two, yeah.
Yeah, because I also work doing sexual abuse counseling, and 40% of my clients are male, and 80% of the time the abuser is male also. So
Yeah, but if you can get a woman to do the assessment on a woman, it's probably
yeah,
you'll be ahead of the game.
if they know how, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yes, of course.
But we're professionals. We're gonna tell them what we're touching and why. Okay, so now the next part, we've done the assessment. Did I skip a slide? No, I didn't. Okay, so I put all these links here simply because I thought maybe for future reference, you might want them. And so the first one is neck and spine, and then let's see, and then we're going to play a triage game. Actually, I'm just going to bounce around. Let's see.
Well, remember, with head and spine, there's not a lot you can do, but immobilize the victim.
Exactly.
Because you don't have a backboard, you don't have a C-spine, thing to go around their neck, and
Collar.
Collar. Thank you for that. And you're likely to damage them more than any good you'll do should they have that kind of an injury.
When it comes to neck and spine, we're only looking to protect them. Okay, so.
When someone has a spinal injury.
And Yuki, I'm going to kind of jump in here and say that I'm looking at the chat. I'm just going to say your audio is a little bit on the low side, so you might have to talk some of the folks through this because to compensate for the audio.
I'm sorry. I think it's because my camera microphone are one and the same. I need 2 separate ones. Okay, so.
Board may be temporarily or permanently damaged.
So you don't want to make an injury worse.
To the neck or back and is complaining of changes in sensation or difficulty in moving, they could have a spinal injury. You must take care not to unnecessarily move their head, neck, or spine. Some of the following incidents could indicate a possible spinal injury. They could have fallen from a height, such as from a ladder.
So you want to ask them when you're doing the assessment, also if they can feel, like, can you feel your legs? Can you feel your arms? And did they have a fall? Did something fall on them?
From diving into a shallow pool and hitting the bottom. That's rugby scrum. Fallen awkwardly from a horse or motorbike. They could have experienced sudden de-acceleration in the car. Had an injury to the head or face. Or had a heavy object fall across their back.
No, the British accent goes with the rugby.
I know. Well, maybe I should have done something with
We don't do a lot of rugby here. Yeah.
football.
Mhm.
Football.
Football, big.
Trampoline.
Has a spinal injury, there are several key things to look for. They may have pain in their neck or back where the injury occurred, have bruising and tenderness in the skin over the spine, an irregular twist in the normal curve of the spine, have breathing difficulties, loss of bladder and or bowel control. They may lose control of their limbs, may lose sensation or have abnormal sensations such as tingling or burning, or their limbs feel stiff, heavy, or if you think they have a spinal injury, reassure the casualty and advise them not to move. Call 999 or 111.
Oh, that's 911. Please don't dial 999.
That's in Britain.
Yes. So first of all, you're going to tell them don't move, but not in that tone of voice because you don't want to scare them.
112 for emergency help. You should then kneel or lie behind the casualty's head. Rest your elbows on the ground or on your knees to help keep your arms steady. Hold each side of the head with your fingers spread so their ears.
You see how her arms are on her legs? That stabilizes her.
Are not covered and they can still hear you.
And she actually puts her fingers so that they're on either side of the ear. That also helps you hold their head steady.
Support the head in this position so the head, neck and spine are aligned. While you support the head, ask a helper to place rolled up blankets, towels or clothes on either side of the casualty's head. Make sure you continue to hold this position until emergency help arrives.
Let me go now.
Anything, Carl? Did you say
Oh,
something?
I was, if you're gonna stabilize the head, you can use books, sneakers, shoes, anything that will keep the head from rolling.
Yeah, anything you have.
Yeah, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like what they've done here is stabilizing the neck at all. So,
And don't put anything under their neck.
right.
Just hold it in that position or have someone hold it that position if you can. And if you do put books or anything there, still have someone monitoring that person. And then you're going to wait for emergency services and hope you get them. Yeah. So then the next part was burns. I have lots of these. Oh, sorry. How to treat burns.
At some point in life, all of us will incur some type of burn injury. Hi, I'm Captain Joe Bruni, and what I'm going to discuss is how to treat the second and third degree burn injury. Second degree involves a blistering of the skin. Third degree involves charring or blackening of the skin. With either type of burn injury, second or third degree, the first thing is to cool the burn injury with some type of clean cotton or other type of synthetic material soaked in water that can be placed over the burn injury site and cool the area down to help reduce pain and swelling. After about 10 to 15 minutes of reducing pain and swelling through the cooling method, some type of sterile dressing should be applied to the burn area. If a sterile dressing is not readily available from a first aid kit, some type of clean cloth material should be used over the burn site injury. The sterile dressing is always the best option to place over the burn injury, and then tape that clean dressing.
Now, I don't advocate for tape for many reasons. Number one, it comes off. That I like rolled bandages, and you can just roll it. Make sure it's not too tight because you don't want to cut off circulation. But you're not using Neosporin. You're not going to use buttermilk, oil, whatever people.
Toothpaste.
Nothing but water.
Yeah, you're not doing that. You're just keeping it clean and bandaging it. And if the person is conscious and they're able to get back into their home or whatever, and they want to take a Tylenol or something, that's on them. But that's all we're going to do.
That's an important point. Remember, you never give another person any kind of medication, not even aspirin, because they might be allergic to aspirin. Any reaction they may have, the lawyers will be on the phone. So, and you don't know what effect it will have on their health as well. You don't know what they're allergic to. A lot of people are allergic to certain antibiotics. So if it's a triple antibiotic ointment, maybe they're allergic to one of them. So you could ask, and you could put it down and let them apply it themselves. But assume that just a burned water is the best thing. You don't need to dress it with anything else.
Yes. Thank you. I'm going to skip around. This was funny because Chen said bites, and I was like, I called him and I went, what kind of bites? What are we talking about here? But we're talking about bug bites, all of those. And one thing to say, I have to say, is be very aware of allergic reactions. And you might want to ask if someone is allergic to anything. I'm one of those people who's allergic to everything. I carry 2 EpiPens and Benadryl, but I do not give Benadryl to anyone else. But people who have allergies, severe allergies, you can usually ask them. But if they get bitten by a snake for the first time or stung by a scorpion, they may not know they're allergic. Okay.
Bites and stings. In this video,
I'm gonna go through
we
it
will
quickly.
discuss signs and symptoms of bites and how to keep the potential for a serious allergic reaction does exist.
Spidey bite.
Signs and symptoms of a serious reaction consist of nausea or vomiting, severe pain at the site, abdominal pain, difficulty breathing, muscle rigidity, headache, and decreased responsiveness. If any of these signs or symptoms occurs, immediately call 911.
Okay, so these are, if a person is telling you they can't breathe, they feel like something's stuck in their throat, this is a problem. This is a sign of anaphylaxis. If you can call 911, do it. Don't even try to transport them. But if we're in a situation, there's an earthquake and we can't get emergency services, I mean, we're going to have to do the best we can and hope that it passes, actually, you know. Ask them if they have an EpiPen. Ask them if they take antihistamines or if they have any. We can't give medication. If a family member wants to pop them a Benadryl, then more power to them. I'm actually grateful, but we can't do it. So anyway, if they have a stinger in their body, you can take a pair of tweezers and remove the stinger. However, if they have a shard of glass in their body, we are not removing it. If they have a knife in their body, we're not pulling it out because it may stop bleeding. But a stinger, yes. If they have a tick, that's not so bad. Yes, Patty.
If it's a bee sting, and that's the only exception to the tweezers, do not tweeze bee stings because the poison sac is usually still attached.
Yeah.
And you just inject more. So take a credit card, a fingernail, something with a hard edge, and slide it out, scoop it out.
That's true.
And let me teach you something that I learned growing up in Miami Beach, where we had jellyfish. The lifeguards would always keep some ammonia handy, and ammonia put on any kind of an insect sting, it dissolves the protein, which is what's causing the sting and the inflammation.
Don't pee on it. No
could.
matter what surfers tell you, don't pee on it.
No, there's not enough ammonia. Not enough ammonia to help. No, but in your kit, in your med kit, your emergency kit, keep a little bit of ammonia. Just put it on with a cotton swab and kind of rub it in there, and you'll be surprised how quickly it stops hurting.
I use it when I camp. I have a rollerball bottle with ammonia in it for bites.
Right. I mean, it smells terrible, but it works great. My wife, any flea that we've ever had eats her. Mosquitoes, oh, she's like a meal. So she puts ammonia on it, and it's good.
Yeah, it takes away.
Yeah, blow the smelly away, but it works great.
Carl, is that just for? Did you say jellyfish?
Yeah, any kind of a stinging
Right, but
Jellyfish leaves a little barb in your
But I
skin.
know I'm with a lot of people. We go in the ocean twice a week, and our understanding, we've had more than one person stung by stingrays, and our understanding is to put hot water on it. And I didn't know if ammonia was a help for stingrays or not. I
No.
haven't heard that.
No,
No,
as hot as they can stand.
Yeah, okay,
insects and jelly beans, not jelly beans,
Jelly,
jellyfish.
yeah, jelly beans are,
okay. And in case anyone doesn't,
it should work with jellyfish, yeah. With
case anyone doesn't-
stingrays, the barb is, it's kind of deep, so you
yeah,
have
in
to.
case anyone doesn't know, you have to do the hottest water for
That's right.
stingrays.
Yeah, I'm not an advocate of pulling ticks out. I like to paint them in nail polish. They will generally walk away because they can't breathe. So I'll leave that. Okay. Scraping it away, like Patty said with the beach.
Hello? I just wanted to add all of the things that you were just naming for deactivating a jellyfish sting. All they're doing is denaturing or deactivating the protein, whether
Right.
it's heat, acid, or alkaline. All they're doing is denaturing the protein. All three are acting the same way to do the very same thing for that protein toxin.
So theoretically, you could use vinegar because it's acidic acid.
Right,
Acidic acid.
right.
Nothing stronger than that. No hydrochloric or
And that, yes, and that's where the idea that you could pee on it came from. The idea that if your urine was acid or basic, it would denature the protein. But you're right, it's not the greatest thing to use. The other things we just named would be better.
Well, that's what they told the boys in World War II, to pee on their feet to kill the athlete's foot, but that was all they had. So
Uh-huh.
we have other methodologies
Yes.
that we can use that are better than peeing on somebody that you don't know.
Yeah.
But if you do know, either way, it's not a great idea.
If someone
Growing up though on the farm, we used the vinegar.
Vinegar, yeah.
Anytime you got like the mosquito bite or whatever, I told a friend recently and she was like, I don't believe you. And I said, try it. She tried it and she said, I'll be damned.
I would suspect that ammonia is probably a little stronger than vinegar, so.
Yeah, ammonia is, I
Yeah.
would say let's go with ammonia. My grandfather used to put kerosene on flea bites while smoking a cigarette. No. Yeah, but we don't want to do that. So animal bite. First of all, make sure the animal can't bite the person again or you. Clean the wound and wrap it up. If it's bleeding still a lot, apply direct pressure. If it's bleeding a little, they can possibly apply their own pressure.
And Yuki, can I jump in there for a moment? I hate to be the killjoy of the group, but it is about a little after 8:20. So we're getting close to our time, and we do want to do some Q&A if we can.
Yes, does anyone have questions? I'm going to move this over. And we'll send you all these links. Does anyone have any questions?
And what we can do, as we said, we can also go into breakout rooms and then have a little bit of an even smaller group, probably with Yuki and probably Carl. Probably with Yuki and Carl.
But we can see, let's see if we have a lot of questions, and we can do that. Otherwise,
let's see what we got. Let's throw those hands up, folks.
I see Gerald has a question.
And Mary has a question. She's in the chat. Okay, let's see.
Oh, just let me throw one thing in. I am trained as an emergency medical responder, so I didn't pull all of this stuff out of the air. I learned a lot working with the CERT unit, of course, and the CERT training, the EMR training. Although I can't use it for work in California, it's a great way to learn stuff if you have the time and the inclination. It's a great course. You learn a lot of stuff. Yeah, Shade, is that your hand going up, or are you exercising?
I see Gerald's hand up and I see Mary's hand up.
All right. It's like knock it out of the park.
Yeah. Questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, it's me, Gerald Baker. Anyway, question. I live in the Hollywood Hills, Santa Monica Mountains. Last year, there was a really bad rattlesnake season. People got bit. It was on the news, and I usually get a couple, 2 or 3 in my yard yearly. So you hear a lot of things about rattlesnake bites, and I don't know if I've always heard the best thing to do if you can get to an emergency room within 30 minutes is to do nothing and just go to the emergency room within 30 minutes. If it's more than 30 minutes, then I don't remember what you're supposed to do.
Well, keep the limb lower than the heart because usually it's a limb that's bitten. You know, leg, foot, hand, arm in most cases. So keep it lower than the heart. That's just to make the poison work a little harder. And if in 30 minutes you can get to emergency care, fine. Take a picture of the snake if you can. Do not bring the snake to the emergency room. They don't like that.
Let you kill the
That has been done. That has been done.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, when that happens, you're around California, if it's a native snake and not somebody's exotic pet, you will probably not die unless you have an anaphylactic reaction, which is the exception to all the rules.
Yeah.
Longer than 30 minutes, you may want to see if there's any swelling. Write down on the person the time they were bitten. If there's swelling, draw a line where the swelling ends. And every interval on your way to the doctor, go ahead and if the swelling increases, for instance, and goes up the arm, put a line, put the time, so the doctors know how fast the poison is moving.
Yeah, you're measuring it.
Don't let them move around a lot. You want to keep them very,
As
very
still as
quiet.
possible.
Quiet.
If you can carry them to the car, carry them. If they have to walk, walk slowly. Do not run, do not jump, etc. No cut and suck methods anymore.
Yeah, and remember that the adult snakes will generally inject less venom than juvenile snakes.
Right.
Yeah, well, you gotta ask them their age.
The
to figure
adult
out
just wants
how
to
old
say, get out of my way.
Well, and also if you can, kind of note the color of the snake, the stripings on it. And look, if it could be a bite of a non-poisonous snake too, and in that case, you won't see fang holes. You'll just see teeth marks. So if it's just a bite from a non-poisonous, it's not a major emergency.
I'm assuming if you're out hiking, we get a lot of hikers around here. If you're out hiking in the wilderness somewhere, you're not that close to anything and you get bitten by a rattlesnake, your best bet is to use your cell phone calling 911, right?
Absolutely. Get a helicopter in the
And
picture.
also, I don't care. I'm going to say this as someone who's done the whole wild thing, backpacked the Pacific Crest Trail alone. I'm going to say there is no reason whatsoever you should be hiking in shorts and sandals. I always have hiking boots that come above the ankle, socks. I don't care how hot it is, and long pants. Yeah. And if you are afraid of ticks and fleas, spray your pants legs and your shoes with essential oil of cedar, and that generally keeps them away. You could do that to your dog too. But we have Mary has a question.
Mary Smith.
Yes, hi everyone. The paramedic or EMT who was doing the assessment on the woman lying down on the table, what about checking the mouth and nose for smoke inhalation?
Well, smoke inhalation is going to be a different symptom. You would see smoke stain around their nostrils or their mouth, and they would be coughing.
They'd be coughing.
Definitely be coughing and having trouble breathing. If their breathing is okay and you don't see those stains, you could ask them, did you inhale any smoke? Were you in the smoky area? And that'll tell you. But that's what you would probably look for.
Yeah.
But they'll be coughing. It's hard to stop coughing after you've been in a very smoky place.
Yeah, I'm a family nurse practitioner, and And actually you can have smoke inhalation without smoke and without coughing. So I think it's prudent to make sure there's no burns in the mouth. If they can open their mouth and look around, that would be great.
That also checks for any broken teeth.
Yes,
Yes.
good point.
Good.
We're
Or
all learning something here tonight. I'm
or
all-
a bleeding gum. Maybe they chomped on their gum or
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 tongue.
tongue.
And
sorry.
I remember back in the old days when they would say, you know, look for blue around the lips if you suspected that someone's not getting enough oxygen. My father, who is from West Africa, made the point. He said, well, hey, what about me? My dad was in the Air Force. He was like, what about me if I'm not going to be blue? Well, for darker complected people, the lips generally turn gray.
Well, and also the inside their mouth and their buccal membranes, they will be bluish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So it's a change in normal body color for whoever that person is based on skin tone.
Right.
if someone is turning colors, there's an issue.
Yeah.
Was there someone else with their hand up?
You know, Keith, you had your hand up. I see you lowered it. Do you still want to jump in with a question?
I think I'll hold on this and allow us to follow up with perhaps ideas for additional modules and things later on. That's where I was kind of going. So,
Okay, well, I just want, Mary has her hand up again. Mary?
Yes, sorry. A question about snake bites. What about putting a tourniquet above the bite or a few inches above the bite? Is that recommended or no?
No,
That is not
not recommended anymore at all.
Okay, all right, great.
Then
Yeah.
you're risking circulation damage. and-
Outside of what is it, IED, AED attack, we're really discouraging tourniquets. No tourniquets around the neck. No.
Yes, of course.
You would not believe some of the things, but yeah, you know, back in the day, I remember in the 60s and 70s, it was tourniquet. But
Well,
now,
tourniquet usage is now coming way back into fashion because there are better tourniquets available. The Israelis have come up with some fantastic types of tourniquets that are non-damaging. You know, a piece of string and a pencil is not the best idea.
yeah, we don't want
Dang it.
anybody.
You know, but you can buy one, and if you're you know, you should definitely have a couple in your kit. And remember, you can only use them once. If somebody's bleeding, they bleed on it, you throw them away. You're not going to use them again. So get a couple of them.
And like Patty said, it's unlikely in California that you would die from a snake bite unless you're allergic to the venom. Now, if you were
In Australia, you're gonna die.
yeah, you know, black mamba, you know, in the cobra, yeah, but you don't have to really, it's not really a problem unless you go into anaphylaxis. So I would like to conclude with, I didn't get to play our game, but I want to say that the thing about triage and disaster first aid is you can't save everybody, you know? So we've got to keep focused on who we can help, where we can do the most good. The guy who stopped breathing 20 minutes ago, there's no reason to give him CPR, you know, or the person who's had both legs blown off, they're probably not going to make it in that situation because there's not enough that you can do. You cannot go beyond the scope of your skills. So help as many people as you can, you know, be thankful that you did that you could do that. And we have to really have that mindset because in a situation like the Chatsworth train crash, you can't save everyone, you know, so you do the best you can and you just practice your skills, watch videos right now because we're in Zoom. Maybe we can get together and do specific trainings. That would be on our coordinators, but because I love the trainings. If those of you who are CERT team members, it's so much fun when we have the trainings and all day, and it's just like the best thing. Or maybe I'm just a goofy, you know, disaster junkie. I don't know, but I have to say that CERT is an amazing thing, and I'm very proud to be a CERT team member. And I know I have actually helped save lives, and wonderful group of people to work with. And we laugh a lot. You'd be shocked at the things we laugh that are going on. You'd be like, oh my gosh. But we keep the patients happy too, you know. And I will turn it over to, I guess, Chen.
And I want to thank everybody tonight. And you know who the medically trained people are in the room, and that would be Patty, that would be Kiko, that would be Mary, who kicked in a little bit, and you know, and those are great people. Yeah, I skipped Carl just for fun, but Carl too. He knows I like to mess with him. But you guys notice I didn't kick in too much because I told everybody who was here early, I said, you don't want me being your doctor. So if you ever show up at my staging area and you see me leaning over you with bandages, run the other way. Get up and run.
No, we're going to train you better. Don't worry about it. Oh, and let me point out, somebody Yuki talked about practicing this. When we have first aid classes, when Patty teaches us, when we have our CERT meetings, it's important to communicate with a victim, make them feel comfortable. And you need to practice doing these things because we're not used to touching strangers. And there's a methodology that you learn to make them feel confident that you're there to help them and not to, you know, to use an old term, to cop a feel, right? So it's intimate. Treating somebody that's having a medical emergency is intimate. So practice it with your friends, get used to doing it, see what methodology of comforting a person works for you, what you feel comfortable with, but communication is the key. Always tell them what you're doing, ask them if it's okay. Unless they're unconscious, then in that case, you just do what you have to do. Unless they're, you know, if it's a child, you got to get the parent to approve. No parent around, you do what you have to do for a child too. The Good Samaritan law will protect you if you stay within the scope of your training. So if you know how to do CPR, you've taken the class, do CPR if you have to. But don't, you know, you're not going to do heart surgery on somebody if you're not a heart surgeon. So be careful that you don't overextend yourself. So remember, the more you learn, the more you'll feel comfortable doing this. So practice and try to keep up with it.
And I have to say, the parent will probably be more hysterical than the child. So
yeah, you probably have to smack them around.
Both. And I will be the first to tell you that I am not the touchy-feely person. You know, in my personal life, I'm like, suck it up, you're not dead. My kids always got, are you dead? Oh, you're not dead. Suck it up. But I am the person at my school, the emergency manager told me, if we have an active shooter, you're in charge of mental health. You'll be the person where all the parents and the spouses in the room where they all go and they're all hysterical wanting to know about their kid, you will be the person keeping them calm.
And you're going, who, me?
And the way I do this is I have Yuki, then I have Yuki, emergency Yuki. It's like acting. And I go into that mode, I put on that cap, and it's like, okay, I got it. Let's do it. I can, you know, tell people. I mean, Chin's trusted me and Carl have trusted me enough to make me the point person on the first aid tents for a few years, you know, but I just go into that other mode. So think of it as it's on, I'm ready to go, you know, and I have to remove all the ew, yuck, body odors, fluids, all of that, and suck it up. You know, I am just like the nicest, sweetest. Oh my gosh. I know it hurts, but we're going to be okay. We're going to get you help. Yeah.
Absolutely. And see, that's why.
And the most important thing is protect your own health. Wear the gloves, wear a mask, wear eye protection. Okay. Somebody throws up in your face and they're infected with something, you're going to get it. And besides, it's disgusting, right? It's going to be, as Yuki says, the ew factor. So protect your own health because you don't want to become a victim in your own emergency.
And we have hit you folks tonight with an incredible amount of information. And this is not going to be the first time that we talk about it. As we have stated, there are going to be practices and different things, and Keith and I and the rest of the board will get together on that. And speaking of Keith and the rest of the board, I want to again thank Keith Harrison, Annika, and Christina.